Okay, 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 okay. Oh gosh, Sinadapi. We welcome you to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. We come every week, and so nistu ni daniko makoyo sakoi nistu skapi pikani nistu Six Katapi, Blackfoot Confederacy. I am part of a large Native Wellness Institute team, founding board member. We're an all Indian, our all native staff, all native board, all native consultants. And because our mission is to keep the teachings of our ancestors alive. And so anything that falls under that umbrella of keeping our ancestors alive, we do on Native Wellness Institute. I always like to do this, and maybe it'll do the hearts. Not quite coming out yet, but welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I just had a large Thai feast with my mother. I'm in my mother's bedroom because we're getting ready to go on an adventure, and so my topic for today is digging deep into your genealogy in the history of your grandparents and your parents and your great grandparents. And how do we embrace their stories, their challenging stories, their resiliency stories of who they were, and listen to their stories. And that's us, because then it defines our cultural identity. It defines who we are. So, and plus you find out who's fake ass Indian. Like, this is and nothing against, I always say Buffy St. Marie, but and others, I don't want to name other names. It's painful when you think you've known someone and you love what they do and they're so talented, but they do it culturally appropriating, they say, where they steal a native's identity. That must be a very painful place to not be proud of. If your great great grandparents were German, if your parents were German, that means you're German. If your great 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 grandparents are Neanderthal, then you were a Neanderthal. So I wanted to share with you, because I'm just I feel happy tears. I feel very content and very happy at this moment, because this adventure, there's 16 interviews that the National Boarding School, Deborah Parker and Deb Holland has, a lot of people, there's a lot of amazing Native women and men who have put this together to come to and listen to boarding school survivors' stories. I was just sitting at the table, and my mom told me a story that I don't remember, and I was in the story. So I had to ask her, how old was I, Mom? Because then, and so but it helped me heal, because I could see how, even at 9 years old, both, my dad was born in 1937 and my mom was born in 1938, and they both are and were boarding school survivors. and I'm their oldest child, born in 1956. So I am I'm breaking the pattern. All of the ACE scores and all of the assessment and all of the therapists and treatment programs. I guess I would, as in 12 step, they say I'm the miracle. We are the miracle. So if you're tuning into Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday, and you're trying to better yourself today, and you believe that the teachings of our ancestors will help better you, you are a miracle. Because of all odds against us that said we should either end up in prison, that we should end up dead, or we should end up all of these horrific, ugly things. And here we are, the miracle. And so I don't want to, since this just happened like 15 minutes ago, I'm happy because I can hear the story, and I am proud of the story, even though maybe I wasn't the best player in the story. I mean, I was just, okay, I'll just share the story with you. So, first of all, my mother likes yellow curry. And I just came from Kalispell working with the Blood Tribe, who oversees 400 employees at the Blood Tribe Nation. I'll share some of that later. But she loves yellow curry, so we got it, put it in the fridge, brought it here, and had to get on some Zooms for NWI with Nancy Rios and gang. And then I said, well, Mom, let's have lunch. And so we're having lunch. And so she's making notes to herself about what she wants to share. And my mom has always kept what she calls a Betty journal, Betty book. Even during her whole working life, she's retired now, she would keep a 5-ring binder, and she would write everything that went down, what she thought, what she learned. And so she has her binder, and then she goes, yeah, I was sharing with her some stories that I recently heard, where a young Native man was saying, he's the oldest child, and his father is a residential school survivor, and his father had a strong arm. I mean, he would hit them, to backhand them, hit them, to make them behave, or make them, that was part of his parenting style. Backhand. What's your parenting style? Oh, backhand. I mean, I laugh. But and then she said, one time your dad was whipping you with his belt. And I go, oh yeah? And I just let her talk. I don't interrupt, because I learned it's disrespectful when an elder's talking and you interrupt them. So she just said, yeah, your dad was whipping you, and you started, she said, I came into the room, and then you started yelling at us and saying, okay, I don't want to live here anymore. Just send me to a boarding school. And so I was a punk. Sometimes when I was young, I would retaliate. And plus, I think I was 11, 12, 13. I was really a punk. Were you a punk? Anyway, I was like, well, send me to a boarding school. I don't want to live here no more. That kind of. And then I said, well, then at least put me in foster care. I don't want to live with, being whipped with the belt. And that was just, my dad. I guess how he expressed his love, because he was punished and hurt in boarding school, going in at 6 years old and not speaking English. So he missed out on how to raise a child in some parts of his life. So when he was trying to discipline me, and I just say I would always push the envelope. I don't know, I'm Blackfoot, I always push the envelope. Why is that the rule? I want to understand, and if I don't like it, I don't follow it. I could just see my my teenage self, I'm laughing at myself. So he was whipping me, and then I started yelling, well, just put me in foster care. I don't want to live here anymore, and that, I guess it stunned both of them, and they're not going to put me in boarding school. They're not going to send me to foster care. But my mom was crying. She said, then I just started saying, over my dead body, will you ever go to boarding school? And so we're just eating. We're not like, we've done enough healing. This is a new story to me, but we were just eating and not, crying and breaking down and trying to commit suicide or nothing like that. We were hearing the story, and I go, wow, Mom. And then I just said, do you remember how old I was? Because then it puts it in perspective. Like if I was 35 or I was 3, that would really determine, the level, be my responsibility to heal around some of that. So she was saying, yeah, I think you were 11 or 12. And I go, yeah, but that was, remember, I also ran away, and I'll say that because I think I was just about 12 and I organized all my friends. We were going to run away. Like we were retaliating, all of us. Our parents they just did not make sense to get back at them. We packed some things and we were just going to run away. And now I'm laughing at it again, laughing at myself and laughing at us, because we did run away for it was almost a full day. But as we ran away, and I just remember, because we were just at that age where, and we were all female, we had all just started our menstrual cycle. And so we started saying, we don't have any, they used to be called maxi pads. They look like like a little giant mattress for a mouse. Maxi pads are, we weren't quite to Tampax because we were all still virgins, eh? And so here we were running away, and then would say, hey, did you bring any of your pads, your maxi pads? And we're like, no. Did you? No. Did you? No. And then we're going, oh shoot, another thing back at the house. And then we started thinking about all the things that was back at the house, and it's just that teenage mind. And so anyway, we kind of took a vote. At least we were democratic about it. And we decided that we weren't quite ready to run away from home. so we went back home. We went back, and I guess that was the apology or some of the forgiveness is. But once that breaking, and you think about, how do you move out of your parents' home? Because some natives, that health, is it a symptom of boarding school that your kids just keep living in your house till there's 25 of them? Or is it a symptom of boarding school and residential school that your sons live in the basement? Some call them basement warriors. They just live there all their life, and you do their clothes, you iron their clothes, and you bring their food, and you try to get them a job. And it's like, is that a symptom? And that's something for all of us to answer is, are our children happy and independent? Are they raised? And then culturally, because, so we're heading to, my mom is being interviewed, and I think they're going to interview me also. So I'm just coming to tell a story of, because I remember their stories. And my mom, she started talking to us and telling us, because she was 6 years old in 1944 when she entered Cutbank boarding school. And she has a clear mind, and she remembers who was there. She remembers she was there till she was 9 or 10 when she ran away 3 times. And finally, the 3rd time, she didn't have to go back. So she knew who was an orphan. She knew who had lost their parents, or she just knew the circumstances. And she knew my Aunt Carol Arrowtop, who was younger, her younger sister, when she came into the boarding school, and she cried all night and cried all night. And so my mom, my mom is able to convince them to let Aunt Carol sleep in the bed that my mom was, so that to comfort her. And they didn't have any toys or nothing like that, so mom ripped sheets of, we used to make dolls in the old days. We made toys, so she made strips of the sheet and made a little doll. It was, a doll with a head. You can make a head and the arms and the legs. And she made this little doll, and Aunt Carol, she gave it to Aunt Carol, and she said, "See, you have your doll. Now you're gonna sleep. Your doll's gonna sleep with you every night," and sang to her, saying, because it would sing lullabies, comforted her. So my mom, a lot of, I think what she's going to share is because of being the oldest child of her set of kids, and she was the oldest child, her role has been to comfort other children younger than she was, and that's what she did. Because one time, I don't know what my mom's going to say, because I can't jump in her mind, but one time I was looking at some pictures, and it was of the boarding school, and mom was just young, looked like about 8, and she had this big stick. She had a stick, and all the other kids, and none of the other kids had a stick, but they were like posing. Someone had taken a picture of them, and they looked dressed very humble. They were in boarding school, but mom had this stick, and I said, "Mom, how come you have a stick and no one else has a stick?" She goes, "I always carried that stick because they knew I would fight back." Because sometimes when kids would come into the boarding school, they would purposely make them fight each other. It was like the entertainment, get a bloody nose and fight each other. And she said I would take up for the kids that couldn't fight. And then if they challenged me, I knew how to use that stick. And I was thinking, sheesh, what symbolism. It wasn't a sword. It wasn't a AK-47. How could you imagine? Oh, whoo, if all the kids in residential schools had an AK-47. Whoa, our boarding school, they had a .38 revolver. Whoa. There would be some dead priests and dead nuns. Woo! All those black things that would be laying all over. There. So anyway, she had this stick. But it's symbolic because my mom is even currently a social justice queen. She helped contribute to the Indian Religious Freedom Act in the 70s. She helped contribute to the Indian Child Welfare Act in the 70s. She ran one of the first treatment programs for women and their children, and later for men and their children, in case their wives still drank or the fathers were being sober. Then she had a men's treatment program and a women's treatment program, then a family. So even the kids could come in and all get into treatment. And treatment was cultural, and it multi-diversity cultural. Everybody learned how to cook. Everyone learned how to make bread. Everyone learned how to put up a teepee. Everyone learned how to make camp. Everyone learned how to make a fire. Everyone cooked outdoors. Everyone learned how to sing songs. Everyone learned how to make a drum. Everyone learned how to make a rattle. It was like really cultural healing. Razzle Dazzle, California came out of my mom's treatment program. There's many across the nation who were in my mom's treatment program, and now most of their kids are sober and their grandchildren are sober. So that's the miracle. We're breaking cycles. And so wow, that just hits me, because now this is a great day, because I'm going to get off this Wellness Wednesday Power Hour, and we're going to drive down to Great Falls, and they've got us a room, and then my mom's going to tell her story of being a boarding school survivor. wow, she's never wanted to do this before. And I think it's her gift not only to everyone else who's a boarding school survivor, but it's a gift to our nation, and it's a gift to me as her child and my siblings. It's a gift to us because she wants us to hear the untold truth and for us to do the healing. Because what we've learned, I just, I think about, even I went to treatment twice and my family intervened on me the first time. And it was because of my mom. She did, but it was called family intervention. My drinking was so bad, but she intervened and got a scholarship, and I was really afraid of detoxing because when my dad used to drink, he would have a seizure, and that's why he quit drinking. So I thought I was going to be the same. So I always didn't want. I just thought I was going to have a seizure, and so I was afraid to stop. And so Mom had figured out detox. I remember I was in San Rafael and Grace Slick. I'm aging myself. Grace Slick had just been detoxed, and I went in there, and they detox you with lithium to bring you down so you don't have a seizure or go into EBGBs or DTs. She had arranged that, and then they arranged to, as soon as I was detoxed, boarded on a plane and picked up by the Betty Ford Center. And that was how I went to treatment. What a miracle. What an absolute miracle, because still in my mind, in my alcoholic mind, I thought I could quit any time, but I was still having quote unquote fun. But I couldn't quit. I needed help. I needed structure. I needed routine, and I needed to hear the stories of other Native people. I heard the non-natives, but I needed to hear, and even now, like part of, I thought, wow, Mom, we're going to be in a place, we'll put some tobacco in the room, and we'll smudge out our room, and I'll probably go smudge around wherever these other boarding school survivors were all together staying in this hotel. It's going to be a sacred place. It's going to be a holy place. Because there's finally breaking the silence. We're finally going to hear each other's story and hear the South Dakota stories, the state of Washington, Arizona. We're going to hear these stories, the untold truth with no sugarcoating. Because, Indians can tell when you're bullshitting. Don't bullshit the bullshitter. They can tell bullshit Indians. They want to hear the story so we can heal. And your story might possibly be the survival manual of another Native person who wants to heal. So these are happy tears. I never thought in my life, my sobriety, that I would be privileged to be a small part of this effort to tell the untold truth with my mother. And she'll be 86 in October. I trust her. I trust her. I trust her story. And then I look at, and she goes, and oh, by the way, because my mom, my whole family since the pandemic, we're de-hoarding and cleaning. We're always giving away stuff. She goes, and I have a bunch of dishes and some other 2 bags of clothes that I want to drop off at the Goodwill. so anyway, we're just so Indian. Our truck is like a travoy, putting all my suitcases, and I got my headdress just in case we do resiliency photos. And anyway, and we're putting all in. And she goes, and if we don't get there in time, we'll just just put it in your back seat, and we'll take it there tomorrow. But I could just see the relief. She's like, her living room's looking pretty nice, and her kitchen, she's feeling zippy because she's recovering from bronchitis. She had a bronchitis, and now she's back to her normal self, and taking some bags to the Goodwill. And then we used to say, well, if you take 2 bags to the Goodwill, you can only buy a bag full to bring out, okay? Because no matter what, if you get some Indian ladies, some Two-Spirit Indians, or and even, men too, I see them in there. If you bring them into a secondhand store, they're going to be walking out with a bag or two or some furniture. And even if they don't need it, they're gonna buy it. And then they're gonna talk about the good deal. There's some kind of just really happiness when the Indians say, "Yeah, see this? Like I did. Sheesh, that just happened to me. I got a 4-point Hudson Bay Capote fully lined, cheap, in a pawn shop." I was like, so somehow I just had to hang it out because it was like, I didn't have to pay $1,500 for this. I only paid a couple. It was like, anyway, or we might just be happy to get a new shirt. And actually, when you go there, there's some of them are so nice. It makes sense. Why max out your credit card, getting all this stuff, when you can go and get just as good as stuff? And it's like you got to be creative. Anyway, I was just like, but I think talking about healing from residential and boarding school. So I wanted to today just to share a story with you, because the other thing that while we were eating our curry, our Thai curry, is I started saying, well, Mom, we're miracles. All your children. Yeah, there's challenges up and down, but we're miracles, because all the odds were against us to not even live, not even to survive, and not even to get sober. And we're all caught, just all the accomplishments were. And I said, and I feel like a miracle. I feel like a miracle, 68-year-old baby. You breastfed me. You taught me to read when I was 4. When I almost drowned, and I almost drowned because we didn't know how to swim. You took me to the YMCA and I learned how to swim. You told me that I needed to get good grades after the 7th grade to get into college. So, but typical me, like I messed up until the 7th grade, get suspended, all that, and then 8th grade straight A's. Because she told me, because my mother told me, you need to get good GPA to get into Berkeley. And I got into Berkeley when I was 17 because of my mother. Because of my father, too. My dad used to say that one quote, that with an education, you're an equal, and without it, you're a victim. So I was, my dad used to say that, so I just didn't even question it. So I just knew I was going to go to college and get educated. And see, that's the tough part, being the oldest child. There's no one to examples before you, so you are the example. So I had to make sure I graduated. So I graduated twice, and I TA'd, but it was just those kind of accomplishments. Bought my first house when I was 19, with my boyfriend. I did all these things because I had pressure that I don't feel now. I had pressure to be the example and to break the cycle. And breaking that cycle, I was just thinking, even our sister, my hat's off. My sister's an MD. She started out as an anesthesiologist, and her addiction kicked in. So she had to deal with that. And she did. She got clean. And she's doing wonderful now. She decided to, retire early. I'm not retired yet. I don't even know if I'll retire. When I retire, just throw some dirt on me. anyway, anyway, I look at the miracle of my sister and her husband. He's retired. He in real estate would fix up houses, and now they're going to the Himalayas and Easter Island and Mexico and just doing all these things. It's like a wonderful, and they're both runners. They still run. They still hike. They still read books. They both read books. They just read, and have a good life. That's breaking the cycle. There isn't the trauma. There isn't the pain, and so I share some of that with you. So how do we? I want to just share the story of some remarkable things happened yesterday with the blood tribe Kainai. Is their director is just a brilliant young man. He's been it for 10 years and he's 39 years old. He has brought his core staff together to retreat so that they make it better for the 400 people that they help in human resources. And just because we're all in, if I was like say a different tribe or I was sort of somewhere else, you'd have to do some trust building or that because Siksika to be Blackfoot are very observant. They can profile you. And so I just laid it out there who I was, and because I am them and they are me, it just things just moved along. We could, and it was a lot of teasing went on, a lot of humor, really, really deep humor, and but we were able to what the topics were is what is boarding school trauma and other traumas have to do with wellness in the workplace where we work. How do we build trust amongst our coworkers, whether we're 10 of us or hundreds of us? How do we understand in forgiveness? We did a big exercise on forgiveness. And the exercise was, we do a lot of walking because like there's a lot of movement. We're not death by PowerPoint or we're not just sitting all the time. But that forgiveness exercise really, it catapulted the tears amongst us in our circle because we asked two questions. And this is something you can do with your family or with yourself. Is the first question is, in our life experience so far, please tell us the story or share the story with at least one other person, and then with some of it again, not you don't have to share the names, it's the confidentiality, but the situation. And the question is, when did you go in your life experience go to someone and ask for forgiveness? And then the second question was, in your life experience so far, when has someone come to you and you forgave them? You forgave them. And boy, that from then we just did a deep healing with a lot of tears, and we were in a place, because I was just sharing with them. I said, I didn't bring a smudge box, don't have the badger dirt, but here's a braid of sweetgrass. And I loved my one sister because when she got to the tears, she just kept, this is not sweetgrass, but she just kept that sweetgrass, and she just. And then, finally, I took the sweetgrass and I lit a little bit. I said, we're still in Blackfoot territory. I don't think they're going to kick us out. Because that, I always, I see people that are allergic to culture. So they become allergic to sweetgrass or allergic to sage. And they're usually organized religion. They're just allergic to the solution. Anyway, I know there's allergies, but anyway, we just light the sweetgrass and smell it, and we talked about healing water. We talked about raising a child, and they had so the typical. This is how Indians are, and this is they brought their grandchildren. So there's a whole bunch of grandchildren. So when you looked in the swimming pool in the evening, all there is all these Indian kids. It's the Indian conference. Remember, white people go to Cancun and Indians go to IHS conferences. Or it was just all these Indian kids, just gleeful, just screaming, just yelling in the water and loving the water and spending the whole day in the water. But so our second part of the day, and this is I guess in our time here, we really concentrated on our responsibility for self-care and wellness in the workplace. And getting back to getting enough rest, getting back to eating right. And I was sharing with them. I said, yeah, I was listening to one science study saying that people are healthier if they poop twice a day or more. And so, of course, we're teasing and laughing because often are in the Browning Hospital right over here, the number one visit is being constipated for 2 weeks, or the pain, and all that bacteria getting in and causing all kinds of other problems. But so one of the participants just said, "You mean like we just have to ask everyone to poop?" Yeah, they need to poop. That's wellness in the workplace. Anyway, so we started talking about self-care. What is self-care? And that's, I think each group of Indians that you get together, at Native Wellness Institute, we always have a graph: physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, and how you create the serotonin, and how you create mindfulness, and how you create but we were just talking about self-care, and a lot of our talk was, wow, this coming to a retreat, coming to this beautiful Hilton Garden Inn, eating real Mexican food made by Mexican, having time to, and the other thing that we did is I said, we'll cover everything that's on the agenda, but we're not going to pay attention to the time. Time is organic, and we're going to not be behind time, but we'll get everything done. And so if that works for you, and I had put my phone over there on the table. I said, when I'm working, I don't carry my phone because I'll only look at it. So I may ask you what time it is for those of you who wear a watch, but I just want to let this be organic and don't feel pressured. Because if we're looking at our time, if I was just thinking, because so some of the outcomes that they shared, and this is to think about the healing part, is before the pandemic, of course, there's always, and it's almost the equivalent of workman's compensation if someone hurts their back or they hurt themselves on the job. There is the support system and the help for that. And this group, they said they have never seen the level of anxiety. They have never seen the level of grief and loss. And Native Wellness Institute, so just think about, part of self-care is to really go back and look at the residual grief and loss, or to go through the ceremonies, or to get sorrow medicine, the fungus of the white diamond willow, to get bear root, osha, to all of these healing omegasis root. It's time, and right now it's today's the 31st. A lot of your medicine is ready now. It's ready now to go pick, go dig, and and use it. So that was, so a lot of that self-care. But the part that and it's an American Canadian kind of thing is, I with this group I asked them if they had ever taken an adverse child effects assessment, because we have to assess where people are, or maybe not. We so so we took the ACE score together, and this is how we did it: is you had your own 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and you answer yes or no. And then we passed the 10 questions around to have a different voice. So it wouldn't be the voice in your head or you reading it, it would be someone else asking the question. And it worked really well, so that, because we had male voices, female voices, and asking the question. And this is where we came up with that there's different generations. Sometimes they'll say there's 4 generations, sometimes there's just 2, and that each generation has a perspective. And you could see the beauty, because the younger respondents, their ACE score was 3. And the medium age and the older, like myself, my ACE score is 9. And everyone else was 8 or 9. And so then that started, what does this have to do with wellness in the workplace? You bring the spiritual maturity, you bring your recovery to work. And if you still, have issues with a gender, or you still have issues with someone who looks like your ex's if you still, it's going to be played out in work. If you, like, one of the big healings, with adult children of alcoholics movement, is that ACOAs, we don't like authority. So anyone in an authority, even though it may be a good authority, we don't like them. We don't like anyone to be authoritative or have power over us. And so we fight them back. So think about that, because, like, there are some things, like, I just think about our federal system. Now they don't force us, but they all ask our opinion to vote. Just to vote. And in our area, there's just tremendous, this isn't just a political push, but there is just tremendous glee that Kamala Harris is going to be our president. There was a Zoom the other day that Kamala got on and Deb Haaland got on it, and there was all these Two-Spirit and Native women, and it went so well. I was in Canada, so I couldn't get on the Zoom or when I was driving, but it went so well because Kamala was listening to Native women, and Kamala was listening to Two-Spirit natives, and what they would like their focus to be: mind, body, and spirit, and social justice, and why they were going to vote for her, and what they wanted once she was seated as president. And I just went, whoa, that's a miracle. We're in a time where we can have a female person of color, because she's darker than a paper bag, right? I'm going to keep talking about this paper bag, because you get treated different by the color of your skin, And so there's been such excitement. I'm still, I'm wearing my shirt that says, "Excuse me, I'm talking Kamala Harris." I've been wearing this shirt from the moment Biden accepted her as the vice president candidate, and we voted them in. And so now I was telling Mom, we need a bumper sticker. Let's just go down. We can run down to Fox, and we'll get a T-shirt that says Kamala. We'll just start wearing it every day for the next 100 days till she gets elected. Anyway, this healing that we went through with the blood tribe is they hadn't heard of this American assessment. So remember, one country may not, we have our own regional ways. So they hadn't heard, but they were blown away with the value that this could help them with making wellness in the workplace for their 400 employees. They said because, and then so now we're mapping out working, because man, they got some smart, amazing employees, just incredibly, and they work that igakima is the Blackfoot word that means try hard. They just work hard. And so now they're going to map out, and I think they're inviting NWI in October, map out, over the next few years, how the native wellness, I was telling them about Gene Tagabon and Wade McGee and Josh Cocker doing men in wellness, that there needs to be men in wellness where the women stay out of it and just let men heal together. And then there needs to be women in wellness where it's just women. And then there needs to be two spirit, that we're going to be having a two spirit Gona, and it's just two spirit going through a Gona process. Because sometimes they're kind of putting, women and the two spirit together, which is fine for now. But even it's just like we need to look at that fluidness of gender and healing. Wow, so some exciting stuff is, man, I'm just like, woo, this some healing is going to be going on. It's going to just be happening like that. So this I'll have to, next week when I check in on Wednesday, I'll let you know how it went. But what I'm looking forward to, and I could see it in my mom, she's already healing. Because approaching her and visiting with her and telling her to think about it, not just, and then even, we had different stages up to her saying, yes, I will give an interview. Yes. And so think about, 1944, if you had a mother or a father that was in boarding school in 1944, 1954, if you had a mother or father that was in the 60s scoop, which in Canada, they just came in the 60s and took all these Indian babies, scooped them up, and they didn't know where they scooped them from. And they would try to assimilate them and to have them not be Indian anymore. That if you have that in your back, it's like a gift, it's like a blessing, because you need to hear the story, because here you are now listening to Native Wellness Institute, keeping the teachings of your ancestors alive. Here you are, in your work. Here you are with your vehicle. Here you are with your house. Here you are with enough food. Here you are with your Netflix and your Hulu and your TikTok and your Facebook and your Wi-Fi. Here you are. What a blessing. What a freaking blessing. You are a blessing. You are amazing. You are brilliant. And just think about that. Here we are. They tried to wipe us out. And it didn't work. It didn't work. We're still here. And why are we here? We're here to help heal the next generation. If someone is younger than you, going through this experience that you went through, you have the time to share how you got through with it. Being patient, being acceptance, the level of, in program, acceptance, letting things go. So I think my reading this morning, it's out in the truck, was about living one day at a time. And during the pandemic, a lot of people said that they learned to stay present. And I was thinking, man, that's the gift that any of us, to live one day at a time. I guess when I was done with our training yesterday, and I went to get the Thai food, and I went by before the pandemic. It was used to be one of my favorite 12-step meetings called the Hope Group, and so I ran just to see, to confirm, because I remember that there was like a noon, and then I looked at the time, and there was right when I finished my meal. I had about a half hour, so I walked the neighborhood. And sometimes you gotta. I guess I just say my prayers, because see someone like me walking the neighborhood. Like, what's she doing walking the neighborhood? Is she packing? Anyway, I would walk the neighborhood because when you eat, you should go walk, and then you don't get fat. Or you get things moving, you get digested. So I was walking the neighborhood, but I realized this is a cool neighborhood. I came across 3 purple houses, and if you guys don't know, Whoopi Goldberg lived on Ashbury Avenue, and she was the first one to have this deep color purple house. And here was 3 houses this deep, deeper than my nails, deeper than my nails. Here was these 3 purple houses, and I had some tobacco because I was put tobacco down, and I was just praying that everyone in that neighborhood have a long, healthy life. And I went back, and man, it was just one of the best meetings. It was a book reading, and we were reading Winners Make It. It's like 360 page of the big book, eh? But the way that I love how at this 12 step is someone would read, and then another volunteer would just appear. And and this is not my home group. And I was just came in, and I'm just like how I am now. Like, I'm just the badass auntie going to a 12-step meeting, just visiting, talking about Indians and territory, and talking like how we're talking now. And then I thought, well, I'm a guest, but I should contribute. And so I got the best part. I just started reading, and it was the part about living one day at a time. It was the part about accepting that we are a miracle. It was the part about that we bring our spirit just to this 24 hours, and that we suit up and we show up and we just enjoy what's happening while we're living, while we're alive, while our heart is beating, while we can hear, how we can see, how we can speak. All of these human things, and how we can feel all of these thousands of feeling, our emotional intelligence. We can have 1,000 different feelings, and we can feel them. We can have tears, we can have laughter, we can feel release and light, or we can feel heavy and pray, and we can smudge. And anyway, there was that was my interpretation of the reading. Because and of course I wasn't meek, stoic, Indian. I was like, yes, one day at a time, eh? I was getting down. I was preaching it. I was like, and then the next person that read, and I just, I turned my body, and I just got silent, and I opened my ears, and I looked at them, and I just said, it's too bad to be in my mind. Please let me hear their story. Please let me understand how it is to walk in their shoes, so that I could be gifted something to help others and help myself. And then the next person would read. And while they were reading, in my mind, I would just say, please, Creator, it's too bad to be. Let them have a long, healthy life. Let them make the best choices for their life. Let them see their great-grandchildren thrive. Let them have the best place to live. And then the next person would read, and I would look at them, and I would just say, forgive me, I never want to judge you. You have a life force, and you should be able to live good. I was just like saying I was having like a spiritual experience, I guess, in this 12-step meeting. Then I was just thinking, man, this is where I belong. Bunch of drunks telling the truth and being clean and sober and doing the best they can. This is where I belong. Belonging. That's what we all need. We need to be around people who we belong together. And even though, you know, I was the only Blackfoot in there, there was no Indians in there. I belonged with these people, and they belonged with me. And so, what a gift! So Mom was gonna lay on the couch and take a nap because she likes to take a nap. And I said, Mom, I'll be done at 2. So I'll be done at 2. Native Wellness Institute. We come to you every Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday. We bring stories and we bring to inspire and we bring something positive, productive, and proactive. I was just texting with Jolene earlier because we were supposed to both be on the Zoom, and sometimes we say, you know, if you get on, then, you know, I know she has other stuff to do, and we just step up and do it. I love you, Jolene Joseph. Kitsikako Mim. I love our NWI team, and we invite you because there's a lot of good stuff happening. We actually have an online GONA next week on the 6th and 7th that you can sign up for. If you can go to YouTube and see all of the Power Hours and Wellness Wednesday. It's free. We ally with Native Dads Network. One of the best places, go to Native Dads Network, their Facebook page. White Bison, type in www.whitebison.com. Go to White Bison site. Go to their Facebook page. Kateri. Go to NAFA. And I want to, you know, I have some tears. Yesterday when I was walking, I just found out that Al Pooley wife had made her journey, and I didn't know about that. And so I called my sister and I had a little cry while I was walking. I just said, oh gosh. And she was saying a lot of people will go to the services, and they announced it, and I can't be at the services because I'm doing this stuff with my family and with my mom. But I just want to extend the deepest condolences to Al Pooley and to Amy and to your family. We are so sorry about the loss of your mother and your wife. And the times that I was around her, she was just the kindest. You could just see that all she had was love in her heart. And that she believed that all you need is the love of your family. And accept your family as they are. Don't try to mold them to something else. Just love them. And let your family be the glue. The glue. So think, and even if it isn't the blood family, like in recovery, your family of choice, whoever is your family, think today, geez, I was just saying, it looks like I've been crying. I just look like I've been healing. Your family, tell them you love them. Tell them you're sorry. Ask them for help. Because out of boarding school and residential school, the 3 things we don't do is say, I love you, I'm sorry, and help me. I love you, I'm sorry, and help me. So think about that. So how can you express love to your family now and then your new family? Because you're gonna in the next 5 years, you'll meet new people that you love. The next 10 years, you'll meet new people that you love, and they love you back. That's breaking the cycle. So with that, I'm just going to say, Kitakito Matsuno. I'll see you next Wednesday. And I ask you just to say a little prayer for me and my mom as I drive my mom to Great Falls, Montana, and she gets to tell her untold story. Kitsikako, man.